Okay, it is 6:16. I will call this meeting to orders. We have a quorum of the board present. If everyone will please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, remove your hats, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We'll have roll call, please.
Catherine Solon.
Here.
Angie Schreiber.
Here.
Dr. Bardo.
Here.
Bobby Braun.
Here.
Jill Maddock Nelson.
Here.
Kristen Matt Miller.
Here.
Scott Peterson.
Here.
J.D. Schrader. Danny Pyatt.
Here. Item number 2, citizens and delegations. We will have letter A, student representative reports. Luke?
Do you want to move up to the podium or?
Yes, please. Oh, he's got a mic right there.
I would love to.
Yep.
My name is Luke Bastel. First off, we will be talking about the blood drive. The Antigo High School National Honor Society held 2 blood drives this year. One was held on January 3rd and the other was held April 17th. The blood drive was held by the American Red Cross and took place in the field house at the high school. Lillian Lesperance and Tyler Boots took the lead in planning and co-chairing the blood drive. National Honor Society members worked the event and some even donated blood. Students and teachers came to give blood. Members of the community took out of their day to come to donate as well. In total, the January 3rd drive collected 38 units and April 17th collected 28. Next is Drive Your Tractor to School Day is coming up on April 25th. Ms. Domke is working with students to make sure everyone who wants to drive a tractor to school is able to safely. Students will be served breakfast for staff on Friday morning. YA Co-op Luncheon is April 23rd. The YA is a state-certified program that runs in conjunction with NTC and the state of Wisconsin. The students are required to take classes that coordinate with their work pathways, work a minimum of 450 hours throughout 15 months, and meet the work components established by the pathway of the program for which they are registered. The co-op program requires the students to work a minimum of 10 hours per week. The Employee Appreciation Luncheon will be held on Wednesday of this week. Gives the student an opportunity to thank their employers by presenting them with a plaque and saying a few words in appreciation. There's about 120 coming to that luncheon. We currently have 78 students in both programs. The employers will also be given the student semester evaluations at the luncheon. I'll just go right to Gracie. Our middle school and high school students will be taking part in an assembly to highlight the issues of sextortion. This event will take place on April 23rd for grades 5th and 6th. The assembly will be from 12:15 to 1:30 p.m. at the middle school. Grades 8th and 12 will attend the assembly from 1:45 to 3 p.m. at the high school. The goal of this assembly is to educate our students on the sign of sextortion, overall internet safety, and how to seek help if found unsafe in online situations and unhealthy relationships. This assembly will also give students useful tools if they are ever faced with unsafe situations. Prom is April 26th from 8 to 11. The theme is Euphoria. This will be the first year that there will ever be concessions at our prom. Forensics State students competed at UW-Madison last weekend. May earned a silver medal with a score of 23 out of 25, and Ashley earned a participation bronze medal. Both students performed well and enjoyed seeing the sights of Madison. They enjoyed shopping on the state street, visiting the Capitol, walking the grounds of UW-Madison, and meeting new people at the competition. Congratulations to both of them. Sports. Softball started the season in Florida going 2-2. We have been able to get 4 more games here in Wisconsin going 2-2. The softball overall record is 4-4. Golf. Both golf teams had their first match on April 15th in Marshfield. Both teams grinded all day as it was very windy and cold. Both teams played very well and working to improve heading into this week. The varsity will be playing at Whistling Straits Tuesday, while the JV will be playing at Wittenberg Burnhamwood Thursday. varsity baseball. Our baseball team had some struggles earlier in the season, not being able to practice outside before playing, but had a huge home opener this past Friday versus Lakeland, 15-5, and look to keep building onto that. Girls soccer started off the season with a huge home opener win last week over Phillips, but lost later in the week to Lakeland. The girls are improving every day and excited to host Iron Mountain here tomorrow at Listle Field. The track team, we have a new track record board that is up to date and the new records out in the field house. Outdoor season is underway and we have a fresh group that is ready to learn and improve every practice. That is all.
Okay, any questions or discussion from any of the board members?
How many hits did you have in that 15-5 win?
I went 4 for 4, sir.
Betcha.
All right, good job.
I didn't know, so.
All right, moving on to letter B, we have our recognition. Mrs. Ojenski, we'll turn this over to you.
Okay, so we will start with, the first person is not able to be with us tonight. This recognition is for Richard Grote. We express our sincere gratitude for your dedication and hard work in getting our school up and running with the heat after the March 31st winter storm. Your commitment to ensuring a safe and comfortable learning environment for our students and staff does not go unnoticed. Your efforts in overcoming challenges and problem solving during this time are truly appreciated. Thank you for your resilience and dedication to our school community. So a big thank you to Richard Grote. He isn't here. Next, we have Nicole Kaler. She is our library media specialist and 4th and 5th grade technology teacher. We want to take a moment to recognize and appreciate Nicole's dedication. Every day, she goes above and beyond to support our students, always willing to help in any way possible, whether problem solving, helping, or being kind and patient. Nicole makes a meaningful difference in our school community. Thank you for being so committed to creating a positive and supportive environment for all. Your hard work does not go unnoticed. Nicole, please come forward if you're here. Okay. Next, we have Amy Reichel. Amy is our Behavior and Academic Support Specialist. We want to recognize and appreciate your dedication to our school community. Your leadership and commitment to the Web Backpack program takes a lot of additional time, organization, communication, and commitment. Thank you. Ensuring our paraprofessionals know where they will be supervising before and after school and assisting with lunch expectations throughout the year is some of the things that Mrs. Reichel helps with. Supporting students academically and behaviorally has made a significant impact. Your contributions to the culture and climate, teamwork, and fostering a positive and inclusive environment for all is another attribute that Amy possesses. Thank you for your hard work, dedication, and unwavering support of our students and staff. Your efforts do not go unnoticed. We genuinely appreciate all you do. Amy Reichel, please come forward if you're here. And we need a photo op with you too, Amy. Hide the trash cans. Thank you, Amy. This next group is rather lengthy. This is a large group of people who all have done a lot of work focusing on math. Tiffany Tomei, Bill Yeager, Taylor Arrowwood, Michelle Baltnick-Havner, Matt Weberpaul, Tom Beatty, Clarice Zimmerman, Sarah Fleischman, Julie Dobrinska, and Jolene Keppel, and Teal Mock. We would like to give a shout out to all of our math teams for the hard work they have put in around WIN, supporting students in a variety of ways, the ongoing work with our spiral review and forward preparation, and the awesome collaboration with our coach, Dr. Jen Wolf. Dr. Jen repeatedly stated how hardworking our team was and how willing they were to incorporate and try new things within the math classroom. She said that you all collectively are one of the best math teams she has ever worked with. We are very proud of you all and thank you for your hard work and dedication to the Antigo School and students. Please come forward. Tiffany Tomei, Bill Yeager, Taylor Arrowwood, Michelle Boutnick-Hafner, Matt Weber-Paul, Tom Beatty, Clarice Zimmerman, Sarah Fleischman, Julie Dobrinska, Jolene Keppel, and Teal Mock. Please come forward at this time. And everyone will probably have to go out to the hallway for a photo op.
Oh, that's the last one, sorry. I thought she said her name.
Tiffany.
Michelle. Matt Weber-Paul, that one I know. Thank you. That one I know. That one I know. You're in there somewhere. Here, you can have that one.
And I think that's all of them. Is one of them Richard Grote? What are the names on there? What are those names? Okay, he's not here.
Okay, so this one goes to,
He was called, yeah, he was with that group. And who is that one?
that one Danny knows about.
Oh, okay.
This one's for you. Put an extra one too.
Oh, my goodness gracious. Okay, so sorry.
And we have one more additional special recognition, and that goes to Miss Angie Schreiber. We want to thank Angie for her dedication to the school board and for all the hard work and dedication that you have provided for our students and our staff for the Unified School District of Antigo. You've worked very hard. We have been very appreciative. You did a lot of behind-the-scenes work for the sextortion planning and programming that we're about to offer to the community, and you've always been hardworking problem solver, and we appreciate everything you do and all you have done. So thank you, Angie. Would you like to address the audience?
Sure. So I just want to say thank you to everybody, all community members. I thank you for your vote of confidence in me. I hope I've done your vote well. And thank you to all the board members. We've accomplished a lot in the last 3 years together. I've learned a lot. I've asked a lot of questions.
No.
And so thank you to the board, thank you to the administrative staff, and all of our staff in the district. You guys have worked so hard and are so dedicated to our, not only our community, but our students, our families, everything. So thank you for all the hard work. And I just want to say, you know, when there's issues and you bring it forward to our administrative team or the board members, we take all of those very seriously. And we've done a lot of great things, and so I hope that communication continues on. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
I'm sure, Angie, that you will still become, or not become, but remain an active part of our school district in various ways.
Yes, you can't get rid of me that easily.
No, no, ma'am. Letter C, public comment. As we go through public comment, these are our rules that shall govern us through the public comment process. The presiding officer shall be guided by the following rules. Public comment shall be permitted before the board takes official action on any issue of substance. Attendees must register their intention to comment in the public portion of the meeting upon their arrival at the meeting. Comments made by the public shall be civil in content and tone, affirming in decorum established for a school board meeting by the school board. Disparaging comments, remarks about school board members, employees, students, positions, position titles, and our district citizens shall not be made permitted. Comments by the public shall be in reference to a specific agenda item. Participants must be recognized by the presiding officer and will be requested to preface their comments by an announcement of their name and group affiliation if and when appropriate. Each statement made by the participant shall be limited to 5 minutes duration. And Ben will have the timer on the screen behind me. No participant may speak more than once on the same topic unless all others who wish to speak on that topic have been heard. Participants shall direct all comments to the board and not to staff or other participants. Participants shall address only topics within the legitimate jurisdiction of the board. All statements shall be directed to the presiding officer. No person may address or question board members individually. Letter K, the presiding officer may interrupt, warn, or terminate a participant's statement when the statement is too lengthy, personally directed, abusive, obscene, or irrelevant. Request any individual to leave the meeting when that person does not observe reasonable decorum. Request the assistance of law enforcement officers in the removal of a disorderly person when that person's conduct interferes with the orderly progress of the meeting. Call for a recess or an adjournment to another time when the lack of public decorum so interferes with the orderly conduct of the meeting as to warrant such action. Letter L, the portion of the meeting during which the comment of the public is invited shall be limited to 60 minutes unless extended by a vote of the board. Reminder to the board members and to the speakers, this is not a conversation between the board and the person speaking at the microphone. The person at the microphone will be allotted their 5 minutes to speak, and we will move to the next person who has signed up to speak. And the sign up.
The book?
Yep, can I have that, please? Thank you, Deanna. Okay, we had initially 5 people that signed up, but one person signed up to speak about something that is not on the agenda. But I would ask that that one person that signed up to speak about an item that wasn't on the agenda to reach out and contact our district administration, because that is a subject that you need to speak with them about, please. Thanks. The first person is Jesse Knetter.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jesse.
Hello, members of the board. My name is Jesse Knetter, and I'm currently in my 13th year teaching math at Antigo High School. I will describe the visual that I gave to you in a little bit. I wanted to reach out and share some thoughts and experiences regarding the new contract pay scale and the placement of teachers on the scale. Throughout my time here, I've gone through several contract pay scale changes, and I can't believe that since I've started, the beginning salary of a new teacher has jumped from $30,000 all the way to $47,000.
That's what I'm looking.
I'm wondering if I could get the full transparent reason, besides attracting new teachers, as to why we have a new pay scale, among other questions. I've reached out to my administrators 12 days ago, including a follow-up.
Jesse, I'll have to ask you to speak to an item on the agenda. We're not talking about contract pay scales on the agenda.
On the list on the bottom part of it?
No.
About how it's going?
No, I'm sorry, it is not on the agenda.
Could you, I guess, I don't know if this is a conversation, but could you clarify what is that section F that's down there?
Section F is future stadium,
Oh, I guess
Schofield
that-
Stadium
what letter
project.
is-
The agenda is All Saints Catholic School,
No.
Anago Hockey, health insurance renewal, health insurance coverage,
He's
R&R.
looking at the administrative reports. F is teacher compensation planning.
Yeah.
Yes, that's the one that I'm referring to and talking to.
And my superintendent report.
Thank you. It is F, isn't it?
Items, yeah.
Yeah.
Section 4F, teacher compensation planning.
Oh, my apologies. I'm sorry. That time is not charged to him. Let's start him all over. I don't know where the time was, Jesse.
That's okay.
I'm
I
so
wasn't
sorry.
looking either. All right, so when I was a part of the Finance Committee and the Insurance Committees, my questions were worked through with a group that could view the situation from multiple perspectives. But now that all the committees have been eliminated, I have to come here for answers when sometimes it might be too late for a positive change. One experience that I have had in being replaced on a salary scale here at Anago is when I had 5 to 7 years of experience. The salary scale bottom line was adjusted up to a point where I was getting paid one step above a new teacher. While I was happy that the pay scale went up for some people, it felt like a slap in the face that I was only valued one step above any brand new teacher. I fear this same situation might happen again, as a new teacher will now get paid $47,400, and that's the same as a teacher that has been here 5 years. Lane 2, step 2, if you look at the reference page. That is our current salary. How much of an adjustment will be given to a fifth-year teacher? It has been repeated multiple times that a teacher's years of experience will not exactly replicate what line they are on for the new scale. But I ask that you consider the value and appreciation you show to the teachers that in that situation that have been here for 5 years already. We hear the words often that we want to retain high-quality teachers, and that this would be a great opportunity for the district to put the money where they're saying they are in the retention of the teachers and not just bringing in new ones. Another experience that I have had in Anago with pay scale changes is the guarantee that everyone will get a raise. We have heard that in the past, and there were teachers that only got a pay raise of $1. Yes, it was still a pay raise on the new scale, but not exactly sending the message that this teacher of 20-plus years of experience, that they are truly valued. I have a colleague that's been here for 4 years, which is at a lower salary than what they are getting paid if we get the raise up to $47,400. What message are we sending to this staff member in showing the value and appreciation of their last 4 years of service if they're placed on the same spot? Again, I share these experiences with you in hopes that we can create a better unity with all staff and administration. We need positive situations to move us forward together. As I look at the new scale for myself personally, I'm looking for clarification. I am currently getting paid $56,400, which I have referenced on the sheet that I provided you, which is between rows 8 and 10 of the new scale. I am currently finishing my 13th school year here. Because of the new structure of the pay scale being front-loaded with increases and higher raises, the value of staying in this district actually decreases the further you go along, if you look in column C on the top. While I don't yet know where I'm going to be placed on this scale, I ran through potential scenarios. I am a math teacher. Based on the statement that we were told that everyone will at least get a raise, the lowest possible step on the new scale for me would be $57,220, the first red box in the second column. If that is where I would get placed, my raise would actually be lower than our current pay scale, which would move me at $57,400. This would continue to happen every year thereafter, especially since the bigger bumps that we currently get paid every 3 years have been eliminated. The document that I gave you can be summarized as follows. If I get placed with just guaranteed of a raise at $57,200, if I stay here for the next 13 years, that will be a total change of losing $32,765 of salary that I will have lost because of this new scale compared to the old one that we currently have. So then I said, all right, what if I jump up to the $58,700? Again, if it is based off of the $58,700, if I stay here for 13 more years, I'm going to lose $18,280 of salary because of the new schedule that we have. It would take all the way to $61,355 for me to truly be excited that I got a raise on this new schedule that we have. One of the main messages and goals we have heard is that we're trying to retain high-quality staff. I feel it would go against these messages if teachers were to end up getting paid less through this new pay structure that was brought up as a bonus since shutting down an elementary school. My situation gets hit harder with my wife, Michelle, who also teaches in our elementary schools. These numbers would essentially double to $65,000 of lost salary. Is losing $65,000 over the next 13 years really showing appreciation for the first 13 years that my family committed to Antigo when we moved here? In closure, what I'm looking for, and I would appreciate feedback on, is what is the full transparent reason, besides attracting the new teachers, as to why we have a new pay scale? And also, what criteria will be used to determine the placement on the new salary, not just for me, but for all teachers in our district? Thank you for your time, and I look forward to a solution that positively impacts everyone.
Thank you, Jesse, and might I add to that, your discussion should be with the business office and district administrator going forward about this. I appreciate your time. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Pete Lewandowski.
My name is Pete Lewandowski. I am one of the almost 20 educators that are retiring from this district this year. And I would urge you to consider the administrative recommendation to modify the change to the insurance date changes. We were asked at the beginning of the school year to notify the district of our intent to retire mid-January. Prior to this year, that date was mid-March. So the district asked us for 2 months lead time so that they could start to look for our replacements. And they could start to make plans for restructuring, budget cuts, and whatever else they had to do to get things in place for next year. In the past, the benefits have been extended for educators throughout the summer who have been retired from the district. The proposal would terminate our insurance benefits our last day in our building, which would be the end of May. I urge you to extend that at least through the end of June. As educators, we do everything we can to not be out of our classroom. So a lot of us plan any sort of health visits, wellness checks, any sort of necessary surgeries. We plan those for the summertime. So if we're cut off with our benefit at the end of May, many people will have to reschedule wellness checks, potential surgeries. And again, we've spent a lot of time in this district. Most of us have been here 30 plus years, and we are asking not, can you do it, but should you do it? So we are asking that you please extend through the end of June the health benefit so that we can now find alternate insurance or get registered for COBRA, because the last 6 weeks of the school year are not going to be a lot of time for us to go out and find insurance when most of us were planning to not need new insurance until at least July 1st. Thank you.
Thank you, Pete. Our next speaker is Peggy Odell.
Good evening. I am Peggy Odell, and I am retiring after 29 years with the district, and I am here to speak about the insurance coverage change also.
Peggy, will you lower?
A little bit down?
There
Okay,
you go.
good.
Good job.
Teachers who have worked the entire school year, whether they are continuing to work for the district or whether they are retiring, should have the same benefits. Dental, vision, and health insurance should not be discontinued early for retirees. Thank you.
Thank you, Peggy. Okay, and our last speaker will be Ingrid Bussey.
Hello. Hi, my name is Ingrid Bussey, and I have had the privilege of working at this district for the last 5 years as special education teacher in high school, and I've loved every minute of it. I'm going to talk about the insurance coverage. As far as I know from the email we got last week, was that the insurance coverage will end in June for retiring teachers, and then those who are not returning will end their insurance at the end of May. I'm not sure if that's correct, but that's my understanding. As someone who is leaving, I had planned on my insurance coverage extending through the end of June and had made arrangements accordingly. I have scheduled medical procedures and appointments for my children and myself in June to ensure that my students do not miss any instructional time. Most of these appointments cannot be rescheduled. 1 month's notice is not sufficient time to secure earlier appointments, and I want to avoid any disruption to my students' learning. There is nothing written in our handbook that states our insurance would end on the last day of the month in which the school year ends. I do not believe it should change for teachers who are not renewing their contract for the next year, since we are not given ample time to make arrangements and change doctor's appointments. Also, it's not fair for retiring teachers and teachers who quit in June to have insurance until the end of May, but I gave you guys ample time because I want to make sure that you find a quality replacement for myself and aren't waiting until the last minute. So that is really frustrating to me. Those who rely solely on the school's insurance will be significantly affected by this change. If the policy passes, they will face a 2-month gap between June and August, as the insurance from the district where they will work does not begin until their contracts start in August. Right now, they have about 1 month, which is somewhat doable, but 2 months is a huge financial strain for them. Also, COBRA is really expensive, and that will also put a huge strain on many teachers. I'm personally upset that others, like I said, who resigned or are going to quit will get insurance to the end of June. There will likely be other teachers who won't be returning, who have not yet submitted their notice. Those individuals who need and want insurance through June will likely choose to wait until June to resign if this policy passes. We have until June 15th to resign without penalty. This does not give the district enough time to hire a qualified quality teacher, since the job won't likely be posted until July. This would also disrupt the schedule for next year and put a strain on the staff who may have to take on additional duties and caseloads without more pay. This issue will occur every year if the school schedule ends in May. If we genuinely want to retain quality teachers, please do not pass this policy.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ingrid. Moving to item 3, consent agenda. Letter A, approval of agenda, minutes, financial reports, requests for overnight travel, report of district new hires, district retirement, and resignation report. I will be looking for a motion, please.
I move the board approve the agenda minutes from the March 17, 2025 Board of Education meeting, April committee meeting minutes, financial reports for March 2025 and April 2025, consideration of current bills, checks numbers 8792 to 8862 in the amount of $94,212.48. ACH's numbers 242501205 through 242501352 in the amount of $1,100,352.22, and wire transfers in the amount of $15,707.19 for a total of $1,210,271.89.
Motion has been made by Jill. Would you like to speak to your motion?
No, thank you.
Are there any questions from the members of the board? Yep, now.
Yeah, Danny, I'd like to ask board action item F to be moved to item A.
Okay, so this would be a move of the agenda on number 5, board action. Scott has requested future Schofield Stadium project, letter F, to be the first item that we discuss under board action. Are there any members of the board that are opposed to that moving of the item of the agenda? We will keep the same letter, F, but it will just be the first item under board action. Is there any opposition? Hearing and seeing no opposition, Scott, we will move that. Deanna, if you will help me when we get there to make sure that I call that item first. Any other questions of the motion on the floor?
I have to, Deanna, I have to abstain on check number 242-501-222.
Also, Deanna, I need to recuse myself from check number 242-501-230. Any other questions? Hearing no questions, your voting device is open of the motion on the floor. Would anyone like to change their vote?
Bobby's had one.
You're good, Bobby. Okay, the vote is now closed. And the motion carries. Moving on to letter A, administration reports. Mrs. Oginski.
Item A, monthly budget update. Mrs. Fossbender is present if anyone has questions. The report is attached. Item B, pupil services and special education. Report is attached, and Ms. Wagner is present if anyone has questions. Item C, buildings and grounds. Mr. Leiterman is present if anyone has questions, and his report is attached. Item D is curriculum and instruction, and we have a presentation around our new, illustrative math that is part of the math vetting process that Ms. Stutzream and her math team went through. So we will turn it over to Ms. Stutzream.
So I brought it to the committee, and it's brought to the board tonight about the recommendation of our new kindergarten through 5th grade math program after our piloting for this entire year around our process of picking a new curriculum resource. So as I told my team that I just bring the recommendation, but they did all the hard work. So for me, it is not about me, it is about them. So they're going to present for you what they thought, students thought, and how staff felt around the illustrative math pilot process.
Hello, I'm Jolene Keppel, and I will be representing our math team. I was the district, elementary K-8 math coach, and I was part of heading up this wonderful team that is very hesitant to speak. So we had gone through and we had piloted Eureka Math Squared, and then we also piloted illustrative mathematics. And this is the one that we are presenting to the board today. So I just brought in some of what we saw in the classrooms for you all to see. So as a committee, we went through a vetting process that was guided by CISA 9 with April Schofield as our representative helping us with that. We went through a process that looked at our district vision that was created several years ago. So I have that on the screen, and this was done collectively across the district staff, and this is what we felt our Antigo Math vision was for our students. So this was kept in mind throughout our entire selection process, and this is what kept us grounded in all of our decision making. So you will see like using mathematical thinking, problem solvers, challenging real-world application math, building stamina, multiple tools, resources, and those are all going to come out in some of the pictures and statements from staff that are in our slides. So some of the strengths of the program was definitely the student engagement. So I would go in and I would observe classroom teachers, and I would say on average 90% or more of students were actively engaged in math. So they were doing activities, they were doing turn-in talks, a lot of partnership work where students were not so much having to answer to the entire class, but working in problem solving with their peers. The hands-on learning portion was much more frequent than with our previous MyMath resource. This resource emphasized a hands-on approach using manipulatives and game-based fluency type tasks for students, which promotes conceptual understanding and also works on social skills. It also has comprehensive coverage of our new revised math standards for the state of Wisconsin. Rigorous questions aligned to the forward exam, which is third grade and forward, and then also had teacher slides that were used to present the lesson materials, which staff felt was very helpful. So again, I feel like I could speak all day, but I feel like students tell the best stories. So these are pictures from students engaging in this resource. So you'll notice that they are using multiple tools. So they're using base 10 blocks to understand place value. The bottom picture on the right is our students going through a shape walk of their schools, so looking at the rectangular bricks and benches. And then in the center is one of those games that was highlighted that where students are practicing their fluency skills. But again, it is done with partners. They're thinking and talking about strategies, so all very hands-on and high interest for our students. One of the big shifts in Wisconsin is the shift of our Wisconsin standards for mathematical practices, and this resource is very well aligned to those 8 practices, so I just kind of wanted to share those. These practices are highlighted within the manuals so that students are, it's being brought to students' attention, but more so teachers are more aware of what standards they should be focusing on in their lessons, which I think is something new for staff, but also it is very important for our students to know these practices as well, especially when we're talking about attending to precision or modeling with mathematics and being able to do these things as they're doing their math every day. So again, very strong alignment to the standards as well as the practices. This kind of goes now into our student thinking. Our previous resource did not have students doing this type of mathematical work. Students are using multiple strategies, and you can see most of these are highlighted. One sample is from first grade, so the students they're drawing models. Then we go up into like third and fourth, fifth grade, where students are writing paragraphs, explaining their thinking and reasoning. Again, this is something that has really been absent in our previous standard, where students basically gave an answer, but they didn't have to justify their thinking. And really, that's where, if you truly understand something, you can justify your reasoning and your thinking behind that. So again, this was not an easy process, and most of the teachers here in the audience will say it took a long time for students to get to this point because our previous resource really didn't provide a lot of those structures of justifying your thinking and showing your work using different strategies, but this program really seemed to do that well. Then we also surveyed our staff and students throughout the process and pilots, so this is just a few of the statements that have come out from our teachers of what they felt were positives of this resource, and I'll let you just take a moment to look at those. So again, you'll notice high student engagement. The kids really enjoyed the center days, which again is very hands-on, game-based, practicing their fact fluency skills, and then also just One of the big things I thought is that they learn from making mistakes, and that's okay because that is a part of mathematics. And I think many of us have learned that math is more memorization, and this program is really looking at deeper understanding versus memorization and really looking at how we all learn math differently. So I think that's just another great testament from our staff. Again, just providing a few more examples of students across our district engaging in this math. I will say the math discourse, at first, students would turn and talk. There was not a lot of conversation, but through the months of using this, it was amazing to hear students using the math vocabulary. In the center, there's students that are calling those shapes rhombuses and trapezoids, and they're kindergartners, and they can tell you the attributes of those shapes and actually use the word attributes and vertices and faces to describe shapes. So again, to have our students collaborating and having conversations so naturally using math vocabulary was very, I guess, from a classroom teacher, I guess it's amazing to see from kindergarten all the way up what our students are capable of doing if we put quality resources in front of them. And then lastly, just to kind of sum it all up, our selection committee took a very long time comparing. It was very hard to score these resources and to come to consensus. There was a lot of really great conversation, but these are kind of the whys. And many of them I touched on before, but the alignment with the math practices and standards, the student engagement, the discussion, multiple entry points for all learners. So it didn't matter if we have students with IEPs or students who maybe are hesitant to share their math knowledge. Everyone kind of had an entry point at their level, so everyone was included. The hands-on and active learning piece was, for most of us on the panel, was a huge highlight. The focus on conceptual understanding to really build that deeper math knowledge. And I guess just seeing the students doing the math. Teachers were not just up talking, it was the students that were doing the learning, and that is a huge shift for all of us, myself included, because our previous resource was very teacher-oriented, teacher talking, and less students doing. So the active problem solving, the ownership and learning, and critical thinking was just some of the highlights. And again, this all aligns with our district vision. So this is the program that we're bringing for approval. And anything else from the committee?
So I've been working here for 6 years, and for the last 5 years I was teaching third grade and then second grade, and now this is my first year in SPED. So I'm in all of the rooms, some. And I want to just say this is the first time in my 6 years since I've started in the Antigo School District that I've actually seen kids happy about doing math. Like not just one kid who loves math, but a lot of the kids. And it wasn't just a teacher standing in front of the board and speaking, as I did with my math. I won't lie, I did, because that's how I was taught. They're actually manipulating things, they're working through things. And I also have a kid in the second grade who is more at a kindergarten level, who is actually doing some second grade work now in his classroom, like when he's not with me, and he was so proud of the fact that he knew like tens and ones and hundreds. And that wasn't because of like anything that I was working with him, it was the stuff that kids in his class were doing. So like kids are actually learning, they're having fun with it.
I just want to quickly say I like that they're showing their thinking. And I had a kindergartner tell me, did you know that our tissue box is a prison?
I have to say, I've been teaching for 26 years in third grade, and I was very skeptical about getting a new math curriculum because I was on the vetting committee when we did the My Math. And at that time, yes, it was one of the better curriculums that we had looked at, and I loved my Math. But I agree, it is very teacher-heavy, whereas now with the IM, the kids are more involved, and it was wonderful to see. And so for a teacher who was a sit-and-get kind of teacher, it was great to see, and it's great to have in the classroom.
Thank you, ladies.
So this was just a group that decided to come and speak. There were many more that were on the vetting committee, just to shout out them as well. And our counselors do kind of a minute talk with our students at the end of the year to kind of see how their year was going. And they laughed because they usually have, like, your favorite subject is recess, lunch, Phi-Ed. This year it was math, which I thought was very interesting because as we go through the pilot process, you never kind of hear that. And a lot of them said that math was their most fun subject. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, up next we have the report for technology and information. The report is attached and Mrs. Mushak is available if anyone has questions. And then item F, I am not going to read verbatim every single item on there. I will tell you we've spent quite a bit of time already with planning for sending communication to our families regarding the consolidation and closure of East Elementary. At the admin level, we've been having some conversation around having an intentional families and friends night where students can come with their families to the new school that they will be attending next year so that they can meet teachers before the school year is out. So we are looking to move forward with planning for that. Some other things, forward testing has been big in most every single building. We are about to wrap that up. Hallelujah. The kids are very happy to be finished with that. And the elementary school renderings will be complete as soon as the brick color is determined. We did have Steve Romatz come on site the other day with materials, and Jake and I stood outside and looked at them in the sunlight. Without the sunlight, we called everybody out of central office. They came and looked at all the materials together, so we're very close. So hopefully it won't be long until we can have pictures of the school posted throughout our community. And then last, Mrs. Mushak, Mr. Leiterman and I met to talk about the placement of fobs on each door and where they needed to be along with cameras. So it's quite extensive when you have to go through the entire building without being able to see it to identify all of those intricacies, just like hardware. Jake and I were on a meeting for, it seemed like forever. I was like watching paint dry, talking about hardware for the doors, and I was like, we got to know this now. So hopefully it will be finished soon. Questions? Oh, and one last thing, just a reminder, April 23rd, our sextortion assembly will be at the middle school and at the high school, and we will have it open that night to the community. We have free babysitting. We have dinner. Pizza is being provided from Pizza Hut and Marty Shell. A big thank you to them, along with Ms. Schreiber, for helping to get this coordinated. We have a guest speaker who his family has been impacted by sextortion, so I'm really excited. I think it's going to be very impactful and a learning experience for our families and communities, so I encourage everyone to attend. Again, April 23rd. Dinner starts at 5 p.m.
Can I say something?
Yes, absolutely.
I just want to say something regarding the sextortion event that we're going to have. For families and the community, I think it's really important for people to understand that kids are being targeted through social media and their gaming platforms. So as parents, we might not be aware of how the kids are being targeted and what to actually watch for. So I think it's really important that we as a community, we as parents, we as teachers, all of us really pay attention to this information, and hopefully it is very well attended. Like Glenda said, we are having, free childcare. We're providing dinner. So if nothing else, come for the free food and watch the presentation. So it will be a great way to learn about what's really going on in this, in this tragedy that's happening. So, yep.
Thank you.
Thank you, Angie, for your help and in putting this on for the school district. Item number, any other questions for Mrs. Oginski for the administrative reports? Item number 5, board action. We will be looking at letter F first, which is the future Schofield Stadium project. I will be looking for a motion, please.
I move to approve the future Schofield Stadium project as presented.
Motion's been made by Jill. Would you like to speak to your motion?
I would like to hand it off to Mr. Leiterman and/or others that may be here and willing and able to present on it. Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Leiderman?
Yeah, so really what we're looking for tonight is just approval from the board to continue with the planning that we've started. That includes moving Schofield Stadium to a location near the high school here and start soliciting donations and having conversations with donors. So that's really the long and the short of it. There's been a lot of other work done in the background to get us there. There's not a lot of solid information yet. So I just want to turn it over to Mr. Schofield to talk a little bit about some of the high points on why that is the choice that was made. And then we have two members from the Dugout Club, Matt and Ray, that would speak a little bit if needed, and someone who is here to help us hopefully navigate the financials of the process of soliciting donations, getting them, and getting the project to completion. So with that, I will turn it over to Mr. Schofield.
Thanks, Jake. Yeah, so obviously, this has been a long time coming with Schofield Stadium, just getting older and older, and obviously Blue Design coming in, and with our current bleachers being condemned and having things right now not ideal, obviously something had to change. So I have some members of the Gridiron Club here. Jerry Gillespie has been involved with us in talks and has been involved in other fundraising projects from De Pere, and he's from Antigo, and he's helping with us. We've reached out to Tomahawk. They ran a big fundraiser to get their stadium built right outside of their high school. A lot of it is just, you know, we know there's a lot of history in Schofield Stadium, but there is much more benefit instead of what's happened in the past, just trying to put Band-Aids on it to keep it going, to bring the whole complex and stadium over to the high school, really look at seeing the benefits of not only football, but obviously getting the benefits of having a field turf field here, where if you've seen this spring that we have already this year, like the benefits would be great for our soccer team, our softball team, our baseball team. Again, like Jake said though, we're still looking into this. We're gonna be working with the Blue Design, working with Point of Beginnings to get things finalized. I kind of came up with a list of benefits that was shared that I see a lot of people are on looking at. But the big thing is we have a lot of support from our Gridiron Club board who does all of our fundraising for our football program. And with that, we do have a couple of them here, Matt and Ray. I'll let them come down and kind of talk from the Gridiron aspect of it. And Abby, sorry, Abby.
Matt Sundermeyer, the treasurer for the Gridiron Club, and I just want to say I feel like we got to look at this as a growth opportunity. The benefits of moving it to the location by the school is going to be huge, like Tom said, for all the different sports that could go out there and access that. It adds another field for the whole community. One of the problems we have with Schofield Stadium is the uncertainty of that field and that location. So to bring in investors for that location is very difficult. And if we move the stadium, that brings a big opportunity for what could be done there later on too. So big picture, growth opportunity for the community. We're looking at permission to go forward with this and start soliciting funds like Jake had mentioned, and asking for your support where we can use it, whether it's grant writing, keeping track of those funds and that type of stuff that the school board would take involved in. We are obviously not going at this alone. So like Tom mentioned, we reached out to Tomahawk. I spent a good amount of time talking with the gentleman from Tomahawk, and even communicating back and forth up till yesterday. And one of our very own, Jerry Gillespie, I'd like to introduce him to come forward and speak about what his success has done. So Tomahawk's a proven success, and so is Jerry Gillespie.
You can tell who's the old guy with a piece of paper and not a laptop. First of all, my name is Jerry Gillespie. I was an Antigo student. I graduated in 1965. I'd rattle off some names of players that I played with because I played football, basketball, tennis, and track. What I really want to ask you is if you will allow me to be the coach of the financial team. Plain and simple. I'm not afraid to ask a high net worth donor to help us. I can't do it all. I don't even know many people, but right after I graduated from high school, my family moved to West De Pere, and I went to St. Norbert College. And other than some class reunions, there was not a lot of times to come back, except I went to the Antigo Rhinelander basketball game at Antigo. And Pat Fry introduced me to Tom Schofield. And Tom Schofield introduced me to Scott Peterson. And here I am. I mean, that's the bottom line.
Well, welcome back.
Thank you, thank you. Since I left, I was a high school biology teacher, and I coached a lot of things. And I want to rattle off some names, even though some of you won't even remember them. Elon Case was my biology teacher and my freshman basketball coach. Peter March and Ralph Ellison were my tennis coaches. Ralph was coaching track at the time, but he and I played on weekends. Jim Laham was my varsity basketball coach. And Dale Peterson was my freshman football coach with Gordy Schofield. So there are some connections there. But because of these coaches, being in athletics and being in coaching, it led me on my whole career. It wasn't what I learned or what I knew, and I certainly wasn't a great enough athlete to get these things, but because I coached tennis a lot. People like Jerry Starr took tennis lessons from me. I coached high school, I coached college, men, women's, and along the way you meet people. Well, after 14 years of teaching biology and advanced biology, I was asked to be a division manager at Green Bay Packaging. And that's where I learned the business world. And after a couple of years of doing that, in 1988, January, I started my own financial planning firm, and I still do that now. It's that I have a nice situation where my youngest son is my business partner, so we have a succession plan. I have 4 children, I have 5 grandchildren, and in approximately 3 weeks, I'll have my first great-grandchild. I've done this before. That's why I want to be the coach. De Pere High School is where I did coach, even long after I left education. I retired after 24 seasons, and some of you might remember Bob Feller. I coached against him. He was from Antigo, and he coaches at Manitowoc. Anyway, De Pere had a big fundraising project. We wanted to add 3 courts. We wanted to add lights. We didn't have a place for the players to change clothes. They changed in their car, for crying out loud. There was no concession. So over a period of about 4 years, all of that was accomplished, including lights and a pavilion at the tune of $800,000. And I was approximately the key guy. I was the coach at the time, but I also had those business connections. So I want to leverage that if I can. What do we want from the school board? Permission to organize the fundraiser group. That has to come first. If you say no, we're done. Secondly, permission to apply for grants for this project. We would like 1 or 2 school board members and 1 buildings and grounds guy that I just met tonight, the athletic director, to be involved in the planning. We need everybody's expertise, and that's just from experience. And then we need 1 staff member, part-time, to receive all the donations, bank them, write thank yous so they get credit from a tax perspective, and ultimately take care of accounts payable when the time comes. Do we need anything else? No. Is this going to cost the district anything? No, other than those soft costs that I just mentioned. Are there any questions? Super. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
I'd just like to say thanks for coming, and I can't express how excited that Tom and I and the Gridiron Club and Jake are to have you on board. I think you're going to be a great asset. So thank you for coming.
I do want to say thank you for wanting to come back and invest more into the school that taught you and gave you your educational foundation. So thank you so much. And to let you know, you do have a Building and Grounds Committee. Then that committee would be the committee that would be working with you closely on this. And as far as the other individuals, our business manager would be available, and Mr. Schofield will point you in the right direction to all of the people that you will need to help with all of this information. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Would you mind if I left? I'm going to drive back.
I don't mind at all. And thank you everybody for allowing us and the board members to move this item up on the agenda so Mr. Jerry can head back east. Be careful.
Yeah, thank you. I've gone from a red robin to a red bird back to a red robin.
You betcha.
We'll take you.
Jerry, Dr. Bardo has a question for you.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Right here. Jerry.
Yes, sir.
You came and shook my hand.
Yes, I did.
Every time I drive down to Madison and I see DeForest. Yeah. And they're amazing stadiums on the left side of the road as you're heading south. And they all say Quick Trip. And this town has 2 Quick Trip stations. So I'm thinking maybe that's somewhere you can look at.
Somebody write that down.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, are there any other questions or discussion of the motion that's on the floor?
Danny, how did the donors for the current field feel about it? Wagner and those other guys.
I can answer that. I can answer about John Wagner. I don't know about the rest. I haven't spoke with them, but I have spoke with John Wagner, and actually he's going to go down and see Mr. Gillespie with myself and another guy, and he's on board with moving.
So all of us are very familiar with that voice that we just heard. I was going to make the announcement that JD has joined us at 7:18 in our meeting, and he will be voting on items on the board action. And Ben will have JD's voting device, and he will just say verbally how he's going to vote on an issue, and then Ben will so mark that on the device. JD, did you catch that?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. All right, any other questions or discussion? Okay, hearing no questions, the motion on the floor is to approve the future Schofield Stadium project as presented by Mr. Leideman and the Building and Grounds Committee. The voting device is now open. JD?
Yes.
Would anyone like to change their vote? The vote is now closed. And the motion carries. Now we will move up to letter A, which is All Saints Catholic School 4K 2025-2026 contract. I will be looking for a motion, please.
I move to approve the All Saints Catholic School 4K 2025-2026 contract as presented.
Motion has been made by Catherine. Would you like to speak to your motion, please?
No.
Motion on the floor is to approve the All Saints Catholic School contract that has been permitted. This has gone through the Human Resources and Financial Committee. Are there any members who would like to discuss anything on this motion? Dr. Bardo?
Paul Galuska came and met with us last Monday night, and what he asked for was to raise an amount that we are sending to the Catholic school to where they would receive 50% of the benefit for the mornings, because technically the agreement that is with that school and us is for half day in the morning,
and they have chosen to do an all-day, which hits their parents, where they're paying for all of the afternoon. It's still a benefit to us as a school district because we get to count the students for, because it's our program for in the morning, we get to count those students as a 0.6. So it's beneficial to us and it's beneficial to them. And so I'm in favor of upping the amount from $1,118 per student to $1,963.02.
Would any other board member like to speak on the motion on the floor? Okay, hearing nothing, the voting device is now open. JD?
Yes. Wait, can you just say that again, Danny? Did Dave raise the motion amount?
Yeah.
Yes, he read it.
Yes, the motion is to approve the Catholic School 4K as presented, which does include that raise that Mr. Galuska presented to the board or to the committee last Monday.
Okay, yes.
Okay. Would anyone like to change their vote? The vote is now closed. And the motion carries with one person abstaining. Deanna, you have that? Kristen? Okay. Letter B, Antigo Hockey Association and USDA agreement. I will be looking for a motion, please.
I move to approve the City of Antigo and Unified School District of Antigo contract in the amount of $13,000 for the use of the multi-purpose building for hockey for the 2025-26 season as presented.
Motion has been made by Catherine. Would you like to speak to your motion?
No, but I think Mr. Schofield would.
Okay. We are passing the hockey puck to you.
Thank you. So this is just a yearly agreement between us and AYHA to ensure our hockey teams are able to utilize the multi-purpose hockey rink through the Youth Association. It's outlined with all of the same details as it was last year and has the exact same amount that we paid last year. There has been no rise in payment. So I think it is a very good deal for us and we should continue with it, and I can answer any questions that anybody has on it.
Are there any questions from the board members to Mr. Schofield?
Thank you.
JD, any questions? Okay, the voting device is now open for the motion on the floor.
Yes.
Would anyone like to change their vote? The vote is now closed. And the motion carries. Letter C, health insurance renewal contract for fiscal year 2025-2026. I will be looking for a motion, please.
I move to approve the GHT insurance plan option as presented with an increase overall of 3.9%, including the plan deductible at $7,050 single, $14,100 family, requiring staff electing to take the benefit pay the equivalent of 8.15% of the premium. The plan designed for employees will change slightly from $1,600 single to $3,200 family deductible to $1,650 single and $3,300 family to comply with IRS regulations for HSA eligibility as presented.
Motion has been made by Bobby. Would you like to speak to your motion?
We just had some notes on this from our meeting on the 14th, and I think Kelly could highlight any significant change other than what's in the motion, if anyone else had questions.
Are there any questions from board members? All right, hearing no questions, the voting device is now open to or the motion on the floor?
Yes.
Would anyone like to change their vote? And the vote is now closed. And the motion carries. Letter D, health insurance coverage date changes. I would be looking for a motion, please.
I move to approve the proposed change to health insurance coverage dates so health insurance coverage shall be available to an eligible employee the first day said employee performs work and shall end on the last day of the month in which the employee last performs work as presented.
Motion has been made by Dr. Bardo. Would you like to speak to your motion?
Yes. Last Monday, the motion that I just read was the recommendation that came to my committee. One of the things that we asked was for more information, especially concerning the amount of money that it would be going forward if we did something in June. After that, I went on to ask some additional questions as the head of the committee. Anyway, this is what I found. If the board elects to give the retirees an extra month of insurance, it will cost the district a minimum of $30,000 and as high as $113,000. I know some of them are concerned about paychecks, and everyone is up to date on the payments that they make for health insurance because it's done monthly. However, if we pass this, some people who get 26 paychecks will have 3 months of where it will be deducted. It will not be deducted. The health insurance payment will not be deducted from those payments. So for example, if one of our retirees is on the Freedom Plan for family, they normally get $261 taken out of their check per month. If they're going to receive 3 paychecks, 3 months of paychecks, that's 3 times 261, which is about $783 that will remain in their checks. If they got the normal family plan, it's $145 per month, so that's another $435 that they'll receive extra in their paychecks. If they're a single plan and they're on the Freedom, it's $102, that's an additional $306, and if they are on a single contract, that's $56, which would be $168 that they would receive in addition to their normal paychecks because they will not be paying for their health insurance. One of the questions I then asked to Kelly was, how many people are we talking? The answer I was given was 16. My next question was, what about their HRAs? See, in this district, no one in our support staff or in our administration receive HRAs. Only our teachers do. I did not ask for names. I did not ask for individual amounts that people have. I asked for the total of those 16 because I didn't want to know names and what you have in your account. But HRAs have been given to our staff with taxpayer money to help them, once they retire, to continue being able to get health insurance. Every one of them will be able to go right away on COBRA. And these 16 people right now have $450,000 in their HRAs total that the taxpayers have paid for. In addition, Each one that is retiring will receive an additional $2,000 to be placed in their HRA. In addition, and I truly, I know I'm not saying what some people here want to hear, but I do, as a former superintendent, appreciate all the work you do for this district, and again, as a board member. You cannot talk. Yeah, but that's the way it is. Anyway. Sick leave will also go in to their HRAs, and again, thank you for not using up all your sick days, but that's another $77,000 that will go in to their HRAs, bringing that total now to $560,000 for these 16 people. I seem to remember, I've been on this, I'm ending my fourth year on the board, and I remember 2 years ago, we had a person who is one of our really good teachers coming and asking the board to give a stipend to the teaching staff of it that were kind of at the end of the schedule. And the board didn't give a stipend. What the board did was increase the salary for those people by adding additional steps and right then giving $3,000 plus to all those people. So the board has tried to do things. Actually, I think it was $3,600. And what people have to understand is that not only are we providing these benefits, but every teacher throughout the state of Wisconsin is on a plan for state retirement. And what they do is they average your 3 highest salaries to come up with what you will get each month when you retire. Now, this year we've added $83,000 into their teacher retirement account, and they deserve that money. But we are custodians of finance in this district. And this district has provided HRAs for these people, which are, you know, $25,000 to $40,000. And they deserve it. But they also need to use it. So I'll be voting yes.
Can I speak?
Scott, go ahead.
I guess as a former teacher, I don't see any of this money that you called extra to be extra for these people. They were owed every penny of that. So I will be voting against this motion because I think these people deserve at least through June. If it was up to me, it'd be through July. We closed a grade school. We're going to save $1.2 million. We can't afford $50,000? I'm ashamed.
I'd like to make an amendment to the motion if I can.
Bobby, can you state your amendment, please, or do you have that written for us?
From what I understand, the administration recommendation there?
That would be a substitutionary motion?
Correct, that's what I want to do.
Okay, so you want to do a substitutionary motion?
Please.
And would you state your substitutionary motion?
I move to approve the proposed change to health insurance coverage dates so that health insurance coverage shall be available to an eligible employee the first day said employee performs work and shall end on the last day of the month in which the employee last performs work, and that such change shall take effect immediately, except with the respect to retiring employees, and that such changes shall take effect for retiring employees June 30th, 2025.
Okay, Bobby, you made a substitutionary motion. Would you like to speak to your motion, please?
I would agree with Scott that I feel that especially retirees deserve through June 30th.
Okay. Just want to remind the board that our discussion now is based upon the substitutionary motion. And in the event the substitutionary motion passes, then it becomes the main motion and we'll have to vote on it a second time. If the substitutionary motion fails, we will go back to the main motion by Dr. Bardo. Does everybody understand that before we start discussion?
May I ask one question?
Yes, ma'am.
I'm wondering if I can add not only retiring employees, but those employees leaving.
So how would you like to, you tell me how you want your motion to read.
Bobby, wouldn't it be better to get the approved replacement and then you could amend it?
You could do that.
Not to put words in your mouth, but that would be an option.
That's fine if we do it that way.
So the substitutionary motion is read by, stands by what you've read. Okay. All right, let's form our discussion around the substitutionary motion. Would anyone, Kristen?
So this would become like an annual situation, correct? That going forward, that's how the insurance would work, that if you ended, if you were leaving the district, your insurance with us would end your last day of employment, going forward for years to come.
Correct, yes.
And so as it is written, going forward, retiring employees would still get that month, or going forward, retiring employees would end on their last day of employment?
So the second motion that Bobby just read, the retiring employees would be covered until June 30th this year. And then the next year, it still would end at the last day that they work.
Okay. And my second question is what was communicated at the beginning of the year? Was there an end date presented, or what was, trying to?
I think that's a very good question, and there was nothing written down because we didn't have knowledge of when the insurance would run out. And because we moved up the deadline to where we asked for staff to let us know in January so that we could plan, when people started submitting their retirements, then Mrs. Fossbender started getting questions about when does the insurance coverage run out. So at that point, that was when she started doing some digging to try to find out what that date actually was.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Angie?
I'm just curious, Bobby, is that what you were looking for, the amendment to say, was that it would apply for just this year?
That is not how I understood it. I thought this was going forward, and good question from Kristen, that is this going to be a situation every year? But that poses another question for me, and what does the teacher contract read?
So there's nothing in the teacher contract that regards that at all because it's based on the benefits. And I will tell you, this is not something new. Many districts do this where the last day that you work, the last day of the month that you work, so if you were to resign May 1st, you still have insurance coverage through the end of May.
So is it because we're ending in May, because usually we go into June, that this is a situation?
I would say yes, because most schools still go to school through June, so it's usually covered through June, but because we're ending before Memorial Day with our students, the last day for staff is the day after Memorial Day. Yep.
So on a teacher contract, is there a date that says?
No.
September 1 to June 30th, or whatever?
It's for the school year. Because if we do that and we have a snow day and we have to go back and make something up, then we would have to amend all those contracts. I can tell you it's not common practice in the districts that I've worked in to have that included in teacher contracts for that purpose.
So technically, if we had enough snow days and they had to work till June 2nd, then they'd have insurance till June 30th?
Correct.
So I'm going to stand with my motion as June 30th, for sure.
For this year?
For this year.
Okay. Just so we're all clear.
That's the way it reads for right now, yes.
Okay.
This was helpful in because we typically have gone into June, that was the missing piece for me, was helping make it make sense, so to speak, because common practice in many businesses would be the last day of the month in which you resign or retire, your benefits end. So it's odd to me to try, it was very difficult for me to piece together, this isn't common practice to allow benefits to a non-employee. So it makes sense because our historical practice would be the insurance going through the end of June because the school year went into June. So that's a big piece for me that like helped fill in the gap. Because I struggled with this, and I'll be very transparent on that. I struggled because simply allowing benefits to be provided to people that are no longer staff members. I entirely agree that it's well earned and deserved, so that's not the question. Or my concern with that is just simply like common practice. However, with that too, I struggled because it's the 9th inning to identify this change, and as pointed out, along with a lot of other very strong talking points would be respecting that staff did not use their leave time during the school year to have to bring in subs to cover for them for any medical needs that are required but maybe not imminent. So I struggled the most with that it is approaching end of April, and to coordinate medical appointments or procedures, that was my big barrier. So I appreciate, I'm sharing all of this, that I didn't take it lightly and did follow up, but I think the biggest clarifying point was simply because our school calendar does not go into June. So that's my feedback.
Would any of the board members like to say anything on this subject, on the motion? Substitutionary motion?
Scott,
JD?
what do you think about this amendment?
JD, we won't question other board members. You can give your statement of what you think about it, but you're not allowed to question another board member. He can give his thoughts.
I'm fine with, if we can extend it through the end of the June, I'm okay with that. I just think they deserve it. Like I said, August would be good by me.
All right, hearing no other discussion.
My last comment then is, do we want it to be every year so we encourage staff not to be taking their procedures during the year?
Well, at this point, the way that the motion is read and the way that the administration made the recommendation and the way that it was explained is this would be for this year only.
Could we revisit it after that for next year?
Absolutely.
So it's not written in stone that we would do it this way next year?
Correct.
Well, as long as the school year ends at the beginning of June,
We're okay.
it would be exactly the same. I
Correct.
think that's important going forward when we make the school schedules.
Yeah, think about that, I guess.
Well,
But
it's going to tie into the handbook, I'd presume, or the, right? Is that the right language I want?
Correct.
it would be in the benefits handbook.
All right, hearing no other discussion on the motion, of the substitutionary motion on the floor, and the substitutionary motion on the floor to save the reading is what came from the administration recommendation. Everybody understand what you're voting upon? All right, the vote is now open.
Yes.
Would anyone like to change their vote? And the vote is now closed. And the substitutionary motion passes. So now that substitutionary motion becomes the main motion. One more time, any other questions or discussion of the substitutionary motion that is now the main motion on the floor? Hearing no questions.
Can we amend
Scott?
this one? Can we amend this
You can amend this. It is up for amendment.
for next, should we do that, or?
I think it is, I like how it is written because it is standard practice for employers that when you are done working, your benefits end. And in most cases, we will go into June.
I think so, too.
So I don't have a problem with
Yeah,
how it is at this
I
point.
guess I have a lot of confidence that we'll be ending up in June most years, too.
The only question I have is, are we leaving it at retiring employees, or are we also including those that are leaving the district?
Right now, this says, with respect to retiring employees, there has been no amendment to include.
Again, I go back to common practice, and I appreciate the way the motion is written, because we're showing our appreciation to the dedicated staff that gave high 20s to 30-plus years of service to the district, who have planned accordingly with 30-plus years of going into June. So I think that is reasonable, and again, standard practice is consistent.
Any other questions of the motion on the floor? Hearing no questions of the motion on the floor, the motion or the voting device is now open.
Yes.
Would anyone like to change their vote? And the vote is now closed. And the motion carries. Item E, R&R Insurance Service Agreement. I will be looking for a motion, please.
I move to approve the service agreement with R&R Insurance Services for the Unified School District of Antigo as presented.
Motion has been made by Catherine. Would you like to speak to your motion?
No.
Any discussion of the motion on the floor? Okay, hearing no discussion of the motion on the floor, the voting device is now open. I would ask that members stay in the room until the vote is taken, please.
Yes.
Would anyone like to change their vote? The vote is now closed. And the motion carries. Thank you so much for following parliamentary procedure with no moving in the middle of a vote. Item G, third grade promotion and retention at risk students. This is a first reading of policy, new policy number 5411. I will be looking for a motion.
I move to approve the first reading of policy PO 5411, third grade promotion and retention at-risk student as presented.
Motion has been made by Kristen. Would you like to speak to your motion?
This came through committee. It's part of the Act 20 requirements. I think they did a great job writing it. Nothing further.
Are there any questions or comments of the first reading? Reminding the board and the community that this is just the first reading and have to come back to this board again next month for a second reading before this policy becomes active. Hearing no questions or comments, the voting device is now open.
Yes.
Would anyone like to change their vote? The vote is now closed. And the motion carries. Letter H, illustrative math resource purchase. I will be looking for a motion, please.
I move to approve the purchase of illustrative math as the new math resource for grades kindergarten through fifth grade in the amount of $95,623.20 as presented.
Motion has been made by Jill. Would you like to speak to your motion?
I would like to extend my sincere appreciation to Amy and her math piloting team and the elementary teachers and staff. It has been stated, and it can't be overstated, the amount of work put into this pilot program to make well-informed decisions that align with our standards, are user-friendly, in the capacity of teachers and students, and provide a variety of learning style opportunities. So the work that was put into it is greatly appreciated. Amy has done a wonderful job bringing updates to the committee throughout this process. So we were well aware and updated throughout. And I also am appreciative to members of the pilot group that came to present tonight, because I know that there was a lot of hard work and dedication put into this. And so it's great to hear from them, the work that was put in and what led to their decision-making.
Would anyone like to speak to the motion on the floor of the purchase of this new math program? Kristen?
I was just going to add, there will be an additional cost that may come to the board because of all of the add-ons. They found it at a lesser price through a different company, so there may be an additional vote coming, just so we know what that is when we see it.
Thank you.
Thank you for reminding us. Scott?
I'd just like to echo Jill's comments and make note that that committee worked very hard, and there's more than one or two members on that committee that are homegrown, and we welcome them, and hopefully we get some more of you.
Jill?
Can I ask if a staff member might be willing to answer a question I have? My question is this, and I want to give the staff the opportunity to share. Proactively ask if there's some examples that could be provided about working and problem solving with peers and work with partners, because at the high school level, in my time on the board, there has been concern that's been brought up, and this is a separate topic, but I don't want those concerns that are separate to take over all the hard work and intentionality behind this purchase. So I'm wondering if there could be like one or two examples shared so the community can get a better understanding of that partner learning.
Collaborative working
Yep.
with the math department.
Yes.
And this was talked about briefly, not briefly, but in detail at our committee level. And I think it would be great for the community to hear that. So Amy, do you want to choose somebody? Or do you want to come down and...
So as Ms. Tomzik's coming down, so there has been concern around CPM around some of the 6th through 12th grade where we have collaborative time, and kind of the rumor maybe out there is that they do all their tests together in a collaborative group. Therefore, if I'm a student who maybe just sits back and lets other people do my work, then I get the same grade, things like that. That is absolutely not the case, even in CPM. I think that's kind of a misconception that's out there. But with illustrative math, one of the things that we talk about, and that Ms. Tomzik will talk about as well, is the collaboration is not all of it. There's direct instruction by the teacher to make sure that we're not doing what we did in My Math, which is where we just do direct instruction, kind of I speak as the teacher, you do your worksheets, and then we hope for the best. But it's more I teach, I'm guiding that direction, then you're utilizing the manipulatives, you're talking with your partners. The one thing that we missed in My Math is our math vocabulary is very low in this district. Our ability as students and children to speak math to each other. Therefore, when I write math, it's not good either, because those two correlate hand in hand, and I'm not able to explain my problem. When you get to the forward assessment, the ACT, things like that, they're asking for your thinking. A lot of the times on the forward test, it's not even an answer for the math portion. I don't care about your answer. I want to know which one of these would solve it. I want to know which one of these looks like the perimeter equation written in a different way. So it's more the critical thinking that we weren't getting from My Math is where we're having those collaborative conversations. And I'll let Ms. Tomzik, who taught it, speak a little bit more.
I can give an example from today. In my class, to start out the lessons, the warm-up consisted of the students having 4 pictures on the board of like base 10 blocks, expanded form, word form, and then they had to explain, what was the other one? Oh, standard form. And they had to explain how or which one did not belong. So it started out as a whole group discussion, and obviously there was more than one way that that answer could be answered. And the kids really got into a good discussion. And then I even added my part in as far as I said, like, well, what if I chose B? Can anybody come up with an idea of why I would say B doesn't fit with the answer? And it was just a really good discussion. Well, then we move into the first activity, because there's an activity that goes along with it. And usually the activities are anywhere from 10 to 15 minutes long. And it'll tell you if you are supposed to have the group, the kids in groups of 2, groups of 4, and so on. Or you could do it as a whole group activity. But the activity we did today was, once again, working with standard, expanded, and base 10 forms with the kids. And they had to actually come up with the different ways that they could build those numbers. And they had to discuss it and explain why they thought that was the correct way versus the way one of their partners had done the work. The second activity then consisted of doing like a 4-square activity, where each child had to come up with a 3-digit number, and then they had to pass their paper to the right. And the second child in that group then had to take that second box in the 4-square and write the number that the first child wrote, in a different form. So if the first child wrote like 365, the second child had to either write it in Word form, base 10 form, draw it out in base 10 form, or write it in expanded form. And from there, they had to pass the paper again. The next child had to look at the other 2 examples and figure out which one was missing and be able to write it in that way, and so on till we got back. Then what we did is we took all of those papers and we chose some students that wanted to volunteer their time, put it underneath the doc cam, and then they talked about the different forms and how they came up with those answers. So as you can see, they are doing it individually, but yet they are also doing it as a team to learn off of each other in groups. And then the final activity usually consists of what is called a cool down, where they're given one problem that they have to answer using those different lessons that they have learned through the instruction.
Thank you, Mrs. Thompson.
Thank you so very much.
So that is in the elementary grades. What about in the higher grades? So this goes to like 5th grade. And like you said, I'm also concerned about the team testing, because I understand where, we want the kids to learn to work collaboratively on things. But then, like, I know of a real life situation where there was 3 students that were given the same test, and student 1 does page 1, student 2 does page 2, student 3 is supposed to do the 3rd page. Well, the first 2 students have their allotted time, and they go through, they do their, their test, and they get through it and everything. And then the 3rd student is really struggling and doesn't get through it, and there's no time for the other kids to come in and finish that test. So now all of their grades have dropped. Maybe, that's the problem I have. And so, like, if you have a student that is, high grades and is really focused on keeping their GPA up, team testing is not the way to go. And I did not know this prior to a couple of years ago, but families can actually have a conversation with the teachers and maybe the principal and opt out of team testing. That's not something that's really advertised to our parents, but it is something that is allowed.
Yeah, and I think there's like multiple questions in that, so that's okay. I'm just trying to remember all of them. That's okay. So illustrative math is actually a program that runs through 12th grade. So if you purchase the whole resource, you could purchase it 4K through 12th grade or kindergarten through 12th grade. So there is the progression as they get into the older grades. So we are purchasing, or hopefully purchasing, through 5th grade. That is kind of the same, similar, but the concepts get more difficult. So what Ms. Tomzik described, I've actually taught that lesson in a different resource, and what it is you just show the kids, here's standard form, here's base 10 form, this is this, pick which one you like, we move on. So you can see the difference between like kind of that just wrote like 563 is 563, break it into, right? And you're just kind of teaching it. You expect the kid to do the worksheet, and then we moved on. And if you were a kid who didn't get it, shoot, hopefully you get it tomorrow, but maybe not, and we've already moved on. And boy, we get to the formative, oh, you still can't get it. There was no review, there was no discussion, there was none of that. I can't speak fully to what you're talking about at the high school, the CPM. I don't believe there'll be teachers who give a grade based on what somebody else did, I mean, in a group work. If you do group work, right, so that's something we've talked about before that we'll look into through CPM. And just like, I mean, even with elementary, we'll say like, now this is a test, but do we score it as a test? No. But with the students, we want them to work hard on that collaborative time. But I'll look into the CPM piece of it, but I know that with illustrative, we have assessments, we have formative assessments that the kids do individually. Because the most important thing is we know that this student in front of us has mastered that standard and that we can move on. And if I don't know that that kid has mastered it, I'm reteaching, maybe in a small group to those students who didn't master it until they have mastery of that standard.
That was a great point, great question to bring up.
And I'll continue to look into CPM.
Thank you.
Yes.
Any other questions of the motion on the floor? All right. The voting device is now open for the motion on the floor to approve the new math program for kindergarten through 5th grade.
Yes.
Would anyone like to change their vote? The vote is now closed. And the motion carries. Letter I, Professional Development Solution Tree 2025-2026. I will be looking for a motion. Bless you.
I move to approve the Solution Tree contract in the amount of $329,450 as presented.
Motion has been made by Kristen. Would you like to speak to your motion?
I think it is important to note that this is Title II money that must be used for professional development, or we can't use it at all.
Okay. Any discussion of the motion on the floor?
In addition to the importance of the funding source, it's important to know that the district may, I don't want to speak for admin, but it was discussed in committee in terms of future, what do we anticipate for future purchase requests? So it's kind of jumping the gun, but it, again, going in open transparency that we could expect to see utilization or requests to continue utilizing Solution Tree for a few years to come yet, because it has been very consistent that to change direction and the intensity that our district needs, we can anticipate that to be a 5-year plan. And so this may likely come to the board again next year. Don't be surprised. But again, the funding source can only be utilized for professional development as well. So it is showing dedication to an approach and working on that that priority area to fidelity. I think is really important for our district to know that we are investing and we are working to fidelity on something to see it through for the betterment of our district, our achievement, and sustainability moving forward.
Very well said. Any other questions or discussion of the motion on the floor? Hearing none, the voting device is now open.
Yes.
Would anyone like to change their vote? The vote is now closed, and the motion carries. Letter J, additional instruction coaching position. I will be looking for a motion, please.
I move to approve an instructional coaching position in the Antigo School District as presented.
Motion has been made by Angie. Would you like to speak to your motion?
Just that I think that our instructional coaches are doing a great job, and they are very critical to moving forward with student learning in our district.
Okay. Any other questions or discussion of the motion on the floor? Jill?
Pointing out a shout out, piggybacking off what Angie shared about our instructional coaches, and that we have one of the strongest instructional coaching systems in our area. And it's my understanding that that's known and celebrated. And we are wanting to align instructional priorities and further utilize those positions effectively.
Bobby?
I am just wondering if this position is posted internally first, or how that works.
We don't have a policy about if something gets posted internally first. It's just I'll put on weekend. If internal applicants are interested, they can reach out to HR, and their process isn't as lengthy as an external applicant.
And I just want to say the reason I'm asking is because we have non-renewals out there, and maybe one of those people would be interested in that position, possibly, you know?
That's a great point.
For non-renewing people and then opening up a position. So,
Any other questions of the motion on the floor? Hearing none, the voting device is now open.
Yes.
Would anyone like to change their vote? And the vote is now closed. And the motion carries. Before I read item number 6 in closed session, I just want to mention that you will see a brand-new face here next month on the board. And Abby, it's great to have you here tonight, taking notes and becoming familiar. So I want to welcome you. She will be on the committee for next month as Building and Grounds, taking Angie's seat, but then the new committee assignments will come after the reorganization of the board. So welcome aboard, Abby. We'll give you an official welcome at next month's meeting. Thank you. Item number 6, closed session. Consideration of movement into closed session pursuant to Wisconsin statutes 19.851 and C and section 118.22. Item 3, for the purpose of discussing employment and job performance matters, including the possible non-renewal of an employment contract of a school district employee. I will be looking for a motion, please.
So moved.
Motion's been made by Jill. Is there a second to this motion?
Second.
Second by Angie. Can we have a roll call vote, please, Deanna?
Catherine Solon?
Yes.
Angie Schreiber?
Yes.
Dr. Bardo?
Yes.
Bobby Braun?
yes.
Jill Maddick Nelson?
Yes.
Kristen Matt-Miller?
Yes.
Scott Peterson?
Yes.
JD Schrader?
Yes.
Danny Pyatt?
Yes. And we are now in closed session. Okay, letter C of number 6 of closed session, action as a result of closed session. The board voted to approve 4 resolutions to issue final notices of non-renewal to 4 teachers. Item 7, closed session, consideration of a motion to adjourn into closed session pursuant to section 19.851 of the Wisconsin statutes for the purpose of considering letter C, employment, promotion, compensation, or performance evaluation data of any public employee over which the governmental body has jurisdiction or exercises responsibility. I will be looking for a motion. Motion's made by Angie, second.
Here.
Second by Bobby, I heard first. Could we have a roll call vote to go into the second closed session, please?
Dr. Bardo?
Yes.
Bobby Brown?
Yes.
Jill Maddick Nelson?
Yes.
Kristen Matt-Miller? Yes. Scott Peterson?
Yes.
Catherine Solon?
Yes.
Angie Schreiber?
Yes.
JD Schrader?
JD?
I was like, you're up.
Danny Pyatt?
Yes. Okay, we're now in closed session.